This is our 6th podcast with our latest lady. And if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself, ma'am.
Sure. My name is Natasha Nuyduch. I guess I'll start. I am a mom. I have a daughter who her name is Nora. She's almost 7. I'm married to my husband John, who is a realtor and has been for a while now. My background kind of goes. I worked in human services for many years in foster care and adoption, and then I went on to be a school counselor for almost 10 years. And as much as I loved helping children, it's education is really hard to be in anymore, unfortunately. And I was really burnt out from the work I was doing and kind of stumbled across a new path, which is what I do now. So now I am a virtual lifestyle coach. Sometimes I refer to myself as a virtual fitness coach. And I absolutely love what I do. I work for myself now. It's kind of been a process. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more, but work for myself. I love it, and it's definitely brought a lot of amazingness and a lot of passion back into my life after kind of struggling for a few years. So that's a roundabout. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to share or not.
Oh, we'll kind of play off from it and, go into it. So tell me a little bit more about like the social work and working with kids. How was that?
Okay, so I basically was one of those people that, I went to college and didn't know what I wanted to do at all with my life. Everyone else around me was like, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be this. And I was like, I'm going to change my major multiple times and never feel like I'm ever going to graduate. I did, but I graduated with like no plan. And I had a psychology degree and I ended up going, into human services kind of blind, not really knowing what to expect. All I had was a short internship that really gave me like a tiny little peek into what I would be doing. So I worked as a TSS. I think that's like a national term. I don't know if that is or not, but it's like a support to students in school and at home and children at home and their families. And then from there, I kind of opened and walked into a job with the same company for a foster care agency. So I did that work for about 5 years. I was a case manager for foster children who were, placed into the system. Um, and we contracted with our different county children and youth services. So I managed that, I was their case manager. I went out, I did visits with the families, with the children. I kind of like coordinated all the services for them and visitation with their biological families and things like that. So I did that for a few years. I loved it, but I was really burnt out. I was really burnt out. And, you think about having a family, but doing the work I was doing and the overtime, the late nights, and like just how draining it was, I knew I never could do that work and still be a mom and a wife and be the mom and the wife I wanted to be. So I ended up going back for my master's degree in school counseling, and I was a school counselor then for about 10 years. And I loved that in the beginning too. I think everyone loves their career in the beginning. I worked in an inner city school district for five of those years. And I loved it. But again, I was just really burnt out. And when I got pregnant with my daughter, that was my last year. I decided to move out to a different district. And then I went to a cyber school, kind of hoping at that point I was trying to find something a little bit more safe, to be honest. And then also trying to find something that kind of lit me up and gave me a passion again. And I was just finding that everywhere I went, that wasn't happening. So that's kind of that history.
Nice. The school district has just gotten, I know from when I went to school to now my kids are in school, it seems like a total different environment, situation. Like there's so many more worries. And I can only imagine like being a facilitator in the school, like you're thinking about everybody's safety and then your own safety on top of it. Yeah, that can definitely get easily burned out on that.
Yeah.
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 All right, let's go into an empowering moment in your life. Is there a moment that like you just feel is like the top peak, like the most empowering moment you have?
That's a good question. I can't really pinpoint one moment that I would say would be the most empowering. Definitely whenever I was able, once I found the coaching business that I run now and was able to leave that full-time school counseling job and work for myself, that's probably been one of my high points. And then I think it just continues as I continue to grow and build my own business. Every day I find something new that, I feel like I didn't realize I was missing out on prior whenever I was working for somebody else. So I would say probably putting in that resignation was the scariest, but also most empowering thing that I've ever done in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got to be an amazing feeling though to go from, like kind of having a boss and then moving to your own business where you have a little bit more freedom and you can kind of make your own schedule and you know do it for you also.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was, my daughter was whenever I put my resignation in, my daughter was going to kindergarten. And so I built this business alongside of doing my school counseling job for 2.5 years. And I just knew I'm very big on vision. I had a vision of putting my daughter on the school bus because I didn't have she wasn't a baby when I started. So I knew I would miss those kind of years, but I wanted to be able to put her on the school bus, which ironically, I don't know if it's ironically, I drive her to school now every single day. She doesn't like the school bus. Go figure. But I worked hard for that so I could be here when she went to kindergarten and, be able to volunteer in her classroom and not miss out on the things that I was missing out on so much. And that it just serves as a reminder every single day that I drive her to school that that's what I was working so hard for. So, and continue to work hard for. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Is there any females in your life, whether it's famous or not famous, that kind of inspired you that you feel are empowering?
I have so many females in my life. That question always stumps me.
Well, tell us
Because
about all as many as you want.
yeah.
Like,
So, obviously my mom has always been an inspiration. She's always instilled in me that you can do anything that you want in life. She's very big on women empowerment and like you can be anything and do anything you want. And she always really tried to instill in us that you needed to do something that made you happy. And so that's definitely been a driving factor in my life, in my search for finding a career that makes me happy. So my mom, of course, but then my entire family is filled. I have amazing grandmothers and aunts. And cousins that are all just amazing women. They, a lot of them are helpers. They're in the helping fields, like teaching or, nursing. Um, Not all, but a lot of them are, but just very strong women who, have successful careers. And all, my one aunt's an engineer, my one aunt's a head of a school district, one is an accounting field. Like there's just kind of all over a bunch of nurses. So, but I've always grown up with that very strong woman role model. So I'd say all of them. Um, and then I have, celebrities that I love. I'm always of all my friends, I'm the Angelina Jolie fan versus the Jennifer Aniston. I feel like it's like one or the other. You either love one or the other. I loved Angelina Jolie regardless of the, media stuff that she gets. I think that she has a really awesome servant soul, and I love that about her. I always have. And complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I love Gabby Bernstein and Mel Robbins as like two kind of business coaches or, entrepreneurs or life coaches. I love those two. They're very different, but I love them. when it comes to women, that I kind of follow and am inspired by on social media. So
That's awesome, and it's so important to have like those kind of people in your life to kind of look up to and see. And it's awesome that there's, I don't know, more and more women getting into different fields. That's kind of where I'm going with this is, we can all kind of learn from each other and know that, there may not be a woman there yet, or there may only be one or two, but that doesn't have to stop us. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. See. Any advice for future generations? Like,
So I always just kind of think of, what I tell my daughter. I think I try to instill in her, because I think we have a really, I don't want to say it's a bad habit, but we have a habit in the United States, in our culture anyway, to tell little girls that they are beautiful, and oh, you're so sweet and you're so pretty. And every time I slip, and I don't want to say I slip, but I say that to my daughter, I try to follow it with, but you're so strong and you're so smart and you're so capable and you're so kind, because, like, yeah, I'm in a fitness industry and that's great, but, I don't want women or any girl growing up to think that the only thing that's important is how they look, or how people treat them because of how they look. And so I think that, we all have advice I would give to my daughter that I give to her is, the most important thing that you can be is kind. And that, everyone is going through something. Be kind to them, regardless of if they're kind to you. I think that basic decent, like, decency, human decency is so important. And also, the other big advice I give her is that she can do anything, because that's what I heard growing up. I highly encourage her all the time to go into a trade field. This is a school counselor in me, knowing like trade jobs and trade careers are where it's at, or to be an entrepreneur, but that you don't have to go to college because everyone says you need to go to college. I mean, I'm one to speak for that. I'm not using my school. I mean, I use my counseling degree in coaching, but like I'm not a school counselor anymore, My husband's the same way. He went to school for graphic design. He's a realtor. He is doing marketing now too, so that helps. But a lot of people don't end up using that degree that they go to school for. So just don't be afraid to go down an untraditional path and go after what makes you happy or what you're passionate about, versus just going to school because you're told that you should.
yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, me and my husband encourage our kids to look outside the box. We have the worldwide internet. Like, you can find so many things. You can learn pretty much anything you want right now. Like, it's all at the tip of your fingers, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars for it.
No.
And women, we've come such a far way. Like, last year was the 100th year of us being able to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like such a long distance, but at the same time, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And these small little changes, and like, I don't know, trying to explain it to my 14-year-old daughter who has no idea that like we actually had to fight for these rights is such a crazy, amazing thing.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I have conversations like that with my daughter, and she's only going to be 7. So it's even more like, she's like, Mom, there's never been a female president. I'm like, not yet. Like, it's going to happen. I said, I don't know if the world's ready for that yet, but it's going to happen. Like, it is better be while I'm alive still, but while you're alive, like, it's going to happen. So, no, yeah. I think that it's just really important for them to know that they can do anything. Like, they don't have to be, I always joke and tell her she should go into underwater welding, because underwater welders, like, that weld bridges, make like multiple $100s an hour. And she's always like, Mom, I don't want to be an underwater welder. And I'm like, why? But anyway, that is all about money, isn't it? I think it's funny that of all things, that's the one thing I'm always telling her, you should really look into this path. So
yeah, that's crazy. welding's such a cool thing. I know when I was little, that was it Flashdance, the movie?
Yeah.
Like the female welder, that was like
Yeah.
huge in my mind. Like, you know,
Yeah. That's
it,
funny.
yeah, these little tiny movements, but that women like now have the option to do. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right. Any plans for the future?
Hmm. Um, I always have a million different things in my mind going on. So, right now I'm just really focused on my coaching business and growing that. I've actually thought about starting a podcast also. So that's something that I started to process last year. We're currently building a huge addition and remodeling our house. So I'm surprised we haven't actually heard like pounding and sawing and hammering. But that hasn't been something I've been able to start yet because of all of that. But I might dive into this podcast world at some point. I'll probably come back to you for some advice then. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I love focusing on self-love and for helping women to discover self-love. That's really what I love about this business, is that, it's about getting healthy and it's about eating healthy and it's about, working out, but it's really about starting to like love yourself and feel confident. And so I would love to do more in that general area. I'm not sure what yet. I keep being told I should write a book. I don't know what it would be about, but I don't know. There's always, like I said, there's a million different things going on in my brain all the time. So we'll see. Maybe I'll write or maybe not, or I don't know. But right now I'm just focused on helping as many women as I can. And through my business, I'm helping other women start their own businesses too. And so I do a lot of mentoring, and I really love doing that and helping people to understand their worth, like to see their own worth and to have successful businesses and start to believe in themselves and know that they can do anything, because I think we like to say that, like, oh, I know I can do anything, but like really truly believe that you can do something is a totally different thing. So I don't know, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. It absolutely is a total different thing. Like those deep down like thoughts, like,
Mm,
and just believing in yourself and also knowing where to start sometimes. Sometimes that's a little tough and like,
yeah.
you know, that's one of the great things about this. You're more than welcome to reach out about podcasting or whatever else you think I can help you out with. But most definitely, I'm that's
Oh,
exciting. I can't wait to see what you do.
well, thank you. And I think what you said is so key too. I mean, a lot of women, I think, aspire to do something new, or start their own business or start their podcast or write a book, but they feel like it's not a good time or they don't know how to start. And that's like, I just tell everybody, just start. Like, just
That's
start
it.
somewhere, right? Like, you figure it out. I'm sure when you started your podcast, you didn't know like what to do right away. You just do it, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm only on episode 6,
yeah.
and that's basically it, is just starting and then making a mistake and then thinking about it, realizing what mistake you made or what you didn't want, and
Yeah.
then kind of just trying to tailor it and shift it just to, what you would want.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just those little tiny steps.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. You just got to start somewhere for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll get to my final question I ask everybody. Is
Okay.
there an inspirational quote that you tell yourself like when things get hard that kind of help you get through the day?
Um, Gosh, there's so many. I am one that has like if you could see my desk, I'm very much a person that has a million, so it's kind of embarrassing, stickies and like things everywhere. Um, I think like it depends on the situation, but I
Go
know.
ahead and give us a couple, like
Well, I was
some
gonna say, I know,
breakdowns of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know that one that I definitely one that I definitely go to often. It's not, I don't know. I'm really bad at like word for word quotes, but the women that I mentor, we were just talking about how you have a lot of people around you sometimes that don't support you. And I love Grant Cardone. I know he's not a woman, but I love Grant Cardone. He's very, very like, just tell it like it is. And one thing that he says is, collect the haters. And so if people don't hate you, then they don't know what you're doing. And so I share that. I think that that's huge because sometimes we can let one person's opinion, completely ruin our day or like set us off course that we were going on. And we just need to know that that's about them. It's not about us. So I like the whole haters, collect the haters, like be okay with people not agreeing with you, or loving you, everything about you or whatever. That's okay. And that's a good thing because that means they're paying attention to you and your message. So that's probably it's not really a quote, but it's like a big kind of theme that I go with when I have mentees come to me with struggles about that. And it's funny because I'm very much the opposite of that quote too, which like I have tattooed on my arm, which is choose love. So like it's like collect the haters, but also choose love. But I think they kind of go hand in hand because you're going to have people who don't agree with you and you just have to love them. And I think that, that choosing love overall is like what this world really, really, really needs. It's really hard to do sometimes. But yeah, those are probably two very different, obviously, takes on life. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I probably have a million. But those are what are popping into my head for whatever reason today.
Those are good though. Like, I mean, I think as women sometimes we listen to the haters and we kind of back down a little bit. Like, you know, guys definitely have a lot more like, I don't know, fire sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel sometimes it's hard to have that fire like as a female. And especially like I don't know. I'm a pretty fiery female sometimes, and you get called a lot of names and stuff, and usually you gain a lot more haters
Yeah.
just for that little bit of fire.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I do. I think that the gender roles that have been put upon us since, way before we were even around make it
yeah,
hard sometimes because, yeah, if you're too fiery, then it's bad. But if you aren't fiery at all, then you're, being walked all over. So it's like trying to escape those gender roles and stand up for
yeah,
yourself and that it's okay. I'm pretty outspoken. I've never had a problem really speaking my mind. So I had to kind of understand that people get upset about haters. I'm like, oh,
mm,
I don't like whatever. That's just not me. I don't. Though I have had moments where I think we all do, where you have some negative opinions or whatever, and it kind of brings you down. But you can't dwell on that stuff, and we should be able to be free and speak freely and speak our minds because we have the freedom in the United States to do so.
yes,
It's the gender roles, and I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we need to continue to work to break those down. For sure.
exactly. We need to continue to speak up.
Yeah.
Most definitely. That's the only way we're gonna keep that right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I thank you for being on my podcast, and you continue to be awesome and do what you do. And I'm sure we'll be around to see you again soon.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.